Now,
treasure.
Rick Astley.
Yes. He was just 21, John, when his debut album catapulted him to global fame. And over the last 40 years, he has sold a staggering 40 million records.
Brilliant. Now, he's written his first ever memoir.
Rick joins us now on a lovely walk there, Rick, in that video.
Yeah, that was in Denmark, actually.
Beautiful,
yeah,
which is a special place for you.
It is indeed. My wife is Danish, our daughter lives there, and it's a gorgeous place anyway, and Copenhagen I know quite well, and it's kind of a home from home, so yeah.
Do you have a music career there as well? Or
yeah, we do a lot of gigs there, actually, yeah. Played quite a lot of the bigger festivals and stuff, and some of the cosy ones, and yeah, no, it's great.
And you're in a period, I guess, of reflection a bit now, aren't you?
Yes, I'm getting to that age. It's that age. It's a lot of things. I've been asked about doing a book many times. I was even asked in my 20s, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding, you know. And I think there's been a few things the last few years, some amazing things have happened, and some of the gigs we've done and releasing new music as well and stuff. But also, you know, our daughter, we have one child, a daughter, and she's in her 30s now, and it just sort of feels like that's showing me that I've had quite a life, and so maybe there's a book in it, you know? So
this is her.
There you go, yeah. There you go.
Now, when you talk about her, what I love is that, like, for the first half of her life, she wasn't remotely aware of...
Not really, no.
No,
I wasn't. I'd been famous, obviously, and, you know, she was aware of it, but it never really kind of was part of her life, really. I mean, I'm saying that. I perhaps I should ask her about that again, but I mean, I'm pretty sure...
Let's get her on the phone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that she kind of grew up knowing that I'd made records and stuff and that there had been a career there, but she wasn't really affected by it so much.
Look at that, Baba.
And you were literally a hands-on dad, as we're saying. Yeah. I mean, you sort of walked away from music and spent loads of time with her and just at home.
I was very, very lucky in the sense that I'd had my 15 minutes, as it were, in music and stuff, and then actually got the time to really sort of be at home and stuff. And obviously most parents, never mind dads, get to do that anymore. So, yeah, I was super lucky in that respect, yeah. And
she actually has been a big part of this section of your musical career, hasn't she? She's really involved.
Yeah, I mean, it's like a family affair, the whole thing. My wife manages me. But also, I think our daughter's been really special in the sense of when the whole thing kicked off with me with memes and stuff on the internet, and, you know, she kind of just put me straight, and she's done that a few times.
What do you mean, put you straight?
Well, she just kind of explained that it even though I'm the guy in the meme, the Rick rolling thing and all of that, it isn't really about me, and it could have been about anybody. And I think she had the perspective, and she's of the internet generation, to do that. So... but yeah, it's been pretty amazing, I think, some of the ways that she has said certain things to me, and they've landed quite heavily, but in a good way, you know what I mean? It's good to have that barometer from that age group, and again, you know.
I remember when we spoke to you last year, just ahead and then after your Glastonbury shows, which were amazing, absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
I remember you were saying that you know, you dropped her off at the gates for Glastonbury to go as a punter
but never
for years.
been in there, for sure.
So was she part of the reason why you wanted to do it up there on the stage as well?
I wouldn't say she was part of the reason, no. She was there when we did Glastonbury, and that was really nice because, obviously, like I say, she had been quite a few times, and I had literally, and her mum had as well, dropped her off with friends and stuff. But that whole weekend was just so amazing, and obviously everything that we did with Blossoms as well, it was it couldn't have gone better that weekend. It was just fantastic. It was like a fairy tale, to be honest, yeah.
It's fascinating to think that you walked away from, you say your 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You stepped away from it.
I did, to some degree, definitely, yeah.
What was it like to have it presented back to you?
It's been a very gradual thing, because I started doing gigs again in a very, very, very small way, and I'm talking a tiny small way. And then I went and did more like retro gigs, if you like. We went to Japan the first time, where I sang all my old songs again. But again, it was a family thing. You know, my wife and daughter came with that. That was kind of the reason we went, to be honest, because they really wanted to go to Japan. I'd been a few times, and they really wanted to, you know. So we did that. And then I've just gradually more and more got into it. But I think it's because there hasn't been the same pressure. I started off with the biggest record in my career, and it's all been downhill from then on. And it's kind of like, it's a strange thing when you start off with a record that big to try and chase that forever. And I think everybody at the record label, management, everyone was trying to do that. Whereas now, it's gone the other way. It's just gradually ramped up to where we're at a lovely place. We go out and do great gigs and I enjoy it.
There's that song. There's that song. We're playing it right now. I mean, it's interesting because we heard from Sir David Jason talking to Breakfast a little bit earlier, and he was talking about the fact that the character of Del Boy was his equivalent of that song. You know, that everybody thinks about that character, and sometimes they don't think about his other work that he's maybe sometimes more proud of. Do you feel similarly?
Well, I do understand that, and obviously he's an actor, so it's slightly different. That's a character he played. But that song is part of my DNA. It is part of my life. It's part of everything. It's the reason I'm sat on your couch, in truth, because it started with that, you know. And even today, wherever we go, even in America or different places, we're in a bar in the middle of Wisconsin, and I know people know that song. And that's weird, do you know what I mean? But it's also something to be grateful for.
Fantastic.
So I never have a problem with it. If someone wants to play it when I do a radio interview or a TV one, I'm like, get it on. Because
that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a door opener, yeah.
Accept it. Don't run away from it. Why would you?
Acceptance is the key to happiness. Boom.
Go on, say that again. Acceptance is the key to happiness.
Yeah, there you go.
You talk a lot about family in the book, about your wife and your daughter. You also talk about growing up.
Yeah.
And the fact that you found it easier to tell the story of your childhood now that your parents are
absolutely,
no longer around.
Absolutely. I had quite an unusual upbringing, for sure. My mum and dad divorced when I was 4, and I'm the youngest of 4. But also, there's just so many things that I do go into in the book. You know, my dad was a character, to say the least. And the way we grew up was very unusual, to say the least.
Give us some examples.
Oh, here we go. Well, my dad had a little business, and at one point he had to change that business. So basically, he ended up at one point in his life with a field, nothing in that field, and he said, I'm going to turn this into a garden centre. And I was a teenager at this point. And in the process of that, he said, I've sold the house that we live in, which is actually a real house, and we're going to live in a porter cabin on a field while we build a garden centre.
All of you?
Yeah, and the 3 sons, at least. My sister was married then. And that, on the one end, was the uncoolest thing possible at school, but also was kind of cool as well. It was a 50-50 double-edged thing. It was very, very strange indeed. But as a teenager, it was amazing. I used to drive pickup trucks, forklift trucks, do all kinds of things.
Is that you?
Yeah, and that's the beginnings of the garden centre, by the way. And it's now like he sold it years and years ago. But it has become like this pretty huge garden centre just on the edge of Newtonley Willows, where I'm from. But he had a vision for what garden centres were going to be. He was kind of unusual, my dad. I'm laughing about it now. It wasn't always fun, I can tell you.
But I wonder if that's what's made you so adaptable now.
It's also made me crave normality, to be honest. And I think in my late 20s, when my career was kind of on that point of like, can we keep this going or not? Do I want to do it or not? I think I just got to a point of saying, I'd actually like... And also, I was a dad, you know. I want our daughter to experience some normality, not being at the back of a tour bus and a this, that, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Which is your version of a porter cabin.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes,
if everyone's happy, then it's fine. But I just kind of felt, you know what, it's time for me not to do this anymore. And I, you know, I've had a very, very, very privileged life. There's no doubt about that. But it has been relatively normal considering what I did in my early 20s. And I think that's been one of the most valuable things in my whole life, to be honest, a bit of normality, so...
And a lot of music as well. That's
a lot of music, for sure.
Life.
And like I say, I've had a privileged life. I'm not escaping that in any way, but I've tried to kind of inject some normality in our daughter's life and in our family life over the years, so, yeah.
Rick, fantastic to have you here.
Thank you.
Lovely to chat.
And Rick's autobiography, Never, is out on October the 10th.